Hey, and welcome to Fit Me Turo Fitness Podcast, a podcast for people who want to get no BS information about fitness and know that fitness is about so much more than losing scale weight. It's about feeling confident in your skin and empowered in your life. I'm your host, Turo Virta, personal trainer, strength and nutrition coach, and most of all, a husband of my beautiful wife, Miriam. Each week, my guests and me will give you some no BS fitness tips and motivate you to take action in your own personal fitness journey as we talk about nutrition, exercise, mindset, personal development, and executing in life with enjoyable but still effective strategies. If your goal is to look better, feel and be strong and experience transformation from inside out, you, my friend, are in the right place. Thank you for jumping in. And now let's jump into today's episode. Right, welcome to Fit Me to a Fitness podcast. Today's episode, I have amazing guest Rachel Robertson. So before diving into today's topics, what we will cover, Rachel, first of all, thank you so much for coming to my show. It's early morning for you, and really appreciate it. So would you mind shortly tell who you are, what you are doing, and a little bit your background?
Yeah, so thank you for having me. I am currently a kinesiologist and I am certified in Pilates, and I use Pilates as my exercise modality to work with the majority of my clients. The majority of my clients tend to be coming in for an injury and I'm helping them rehab. It's not the only form of exercise I use. I do strength training with my clients as well. And then in the past, was a figure skater growing up, and I currently compete in what's called kettlebell sport, which is kind of a niche sport. Um, and so my practice is really kind of evolved from past experiences, whether it's like my own weight loss journey, whether it's my training experience, my injuries. I was in a very significant car accident in my early 20s, which really impacted how I went about exercise. Um, and all of that kind of came together and has helped me kind of create the way I work with clients.
Mm-hmm. Tell a little bit. I'm curious to know about the kettlebell sport. So you just recently you were in you had a championships, right? Or
We
were
had
you
our
in
Canadian nationals.
how
Yeah.
it went?
So it went really well. In this phase of my life, I am not as competitive in the sense that I'm not trying to make Team Canada and then go to Worlds and win. That was a previous very much ambition. I did compete at two worlds and won
Wow,
two gold medals in
wow,
Korea. But I've got
congrats.
two young kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they're 5 and 2, and they come with us to all our kettlebell competitions. So
Mm-hmm.
kettlebell sport is like Olympic weightlifting. We have the
Mm-hmm.
clean and jerk, we have snatch, we have just jerks, but you'll use one or two kettlebells. The time periods are typically 5, 10, 30 minutes, or 60 minutes. And you're repeating the exercise over and over again within that time period. And you can't put it down.
Oh wow.
So typically, if it's a one-handed exercise like a snatch, you get a one-hand switch. I typically compete in 10 minutes. That's the common time
Mm-hmm.
frame. Now marathons and half marathons are becoming really popular. But so I get one hand switch. I can't put it down. It's as many reps as I can within the 10 minutes. But there's a judge, and the
Mm-hmm.
judge is making sure that you do quality reps and that you're meeting like fixation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so just at Canadian Nationals, I came with a first in 20-kilogram snatch and a second in 16-kilogram long cycle. And
Wow.
it was double long cycle, so two 16 kilograms in my hands.
Wow. And how long I'm curious to know how many repetitions you are able to make in 10 minutes? Like
So I think I did like 154 with my snatch.
wow.
It depends on the bell.
Yeah.
Like as it gets heavier, your reps definitely go down.
Yeah.
And women typically the amateur weight is 16 kilograms and then the
Mm.
professional weight is 24. So I'm right in between.
Okay.
When I competed at Worlds, it was with the 16. Um, and with the long cycle, it tends to vary how I do. This competition, I only did about 65, but it
Mhm.
can range up until like the hundreds.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
But is there like are you the weight class is there some class for your body weight or is it for everybody the same weight what you are using? It's just that lift different levels or
Yeah, so very much like weightlifting again, we do have body weight classes. And then
okay.
I think once you get into like 75, then it's like more like an open category, like it's 75
Okay.
plus.
Yeah.
But below that, then we have our
There's a
different
different
weight
class.
classes. And we've
Okay.
got a few different federations. So it kind of depends on which federation are you lifting with,
Mm.
where your body
Okay,
weight kind
got
of
you.
falls into.
All
Yeah.
right, got you. Oh, that's so interesting to know. Thank you so much for this. Is totally new. I was so curious to know how things are working and what kind of, because I here in Italy, I've never seen or heard about it. So that was it. I just saw also some kind of this type of like it was in some newspaper so that deadlifts or they did like crazy amount of those, and that's why like if I think that to do 150 snatches with one hand. Oh, that's a
Well, and
huge
Italy
respect.
just had Worlds
Yeah.
last year. They hosted last year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. No, but
Yeah,
it's once you are not in that sports, you don't. I'm not
totally.
following it, so that's if you don't know. So it's but great to know. So tell a little bit about your own injury and how that recovery uh, it shaped your life and how it helped you to and how it helps you to help others to
Yeah.
rebuild that strength and self-trust.
Yeah, so when I was probably about 24,
Mm,
I was stopped at a red light,
mm,
had a couple passengers in my car, and all of a sudden I got rear-ended by a drunk driver who was driving like over 100 kilometers into the back of my car.
wow.
Um, and so I flung forward, flung back. Actually, I broke my seat. The impact sent me back forward and I hit the steering wheel and then managed to land on the headrest. So, but the crazy part was I turned around to ask everybody in my car if they were okay, and the car continued to hit me three or four times because, again, the driver was drunk. So they just
Oh,
kept trying to go forward. And then eventually they drove around the car and drove away. And the police did end up catching the individual. Um, but first, it's kind of like the shock of an accident, whether it
mm,
be a car accident or something else, recognizing that you might not absorb everything. Like,
mm,
and so I see this in my patients as well. So when I got out of the car, it was kind of like, what should I do in this moment?
mm,
Oh, I should call insurance. It was not my vehicle, it was my parents' vehicle. So I was like, I should
mm,
call my parents. Um, but I was walking around limping, and people were actually saying to me, "Are you sure you're okay?" But the shock, I didn't feel anything. I was aware that I wasn't walking properly. Um, the next morning, the amount of pain I was in, that like my body was finally like now tightening up and everything.
mm,
Um, the other piece of it was being so young and I was really flexible.
mm,
Um, I went to physiotherapy like right away, but because of my flexibility, I actually got passed on mobility tests. And
mm,
they were like, "Oh, your range of motion is good." And they released me before I was ready to recover.
mm,
And so I was experiencing a lot of pain. And coming from a figure skating background, I had more of a tendency to do lots of stretching and running, but I wasn't really strength training.
Mhm.
And at one point, like the insurance company said, you're not getting better. Let's get you into strength training. And that was key to my recovery.
Mhm.
And this actually is partially what led me into kettlebell sport.
Mhm.
Um, my husband was in the car at the time, and he was big into strength training, but I would kind of like avoid it. So when they said that I needed to do strength training, I started with him. But part of my realization was it wasn't about being heavyweight, specifically with neck and shoulders. So
Mhm.
lower body, I was fine to kind of go your typical rep range. Um, but when it came to upper body, one, in the beginning, I had a disconnection. Like
Mhm.
I mentally couldn't figure out how to bicep curl. I had to retrain some motor patterns.
Mhm.
And so, what I've learned, and I've tested this out on lots of my clients, was actually for neck and shoulders, keeping the weights really, really low, but
Mhm.
increasing the volume. So,
Mhm.
like, if they're starting with a 2 pound weight, and typically I do shoulder exercises when I would start with like 5 to 8 reps, and then over like 2 to 3 weeks, increase it to 10 to 12, and then 12 to 15, aiming for 20 reps.
Mhm.
And the muscular endurance that it built around the shoulders started to alleviate the neck,
Mhm.
which was really interesting. And then, like, it also adapted my Pilates repertoire. I was already teaching Pilates at the time, but Pilates can be very much about flexion.
Mhm.
And I had to really hone in on how upper flexion occurred, and then also giving myself permission not to do it exactly the right way. So it's led me not only to how I work with my clients differently by like modifying their exercises. I jokingly say to them, I'm the queen of modifications,
Mhm.
because I'm always willing to find a way. And this has really helped me find ways that help them correctly hold their posture, but then build up their exercise. But it's led me to design a clinical Pilates workshop. And so I train other kinesiologists or physiotherapists, massage therapists when they're doing exercise prescription, not only on the foundational Pilates, but also how can they modify it so that their clients can progress to the full exercise over time. Because sometimes we get in our head, this is the exercise, I have to do it that way. But who says that we have to do it that way? So if
Mhm.
we're given permission to break it down and use progressions to build up to it, the client not only gains confidence in themselves, they also just start to feel stronger, and they're like, oh, look, I only could do this, and now I'm over
Mhm.
here and I can do this. And so it's really giving them that permission to feel safe. Because if there's anything I see with clients when they come in with an injury, they don't feel safe in their body.
Mhm.
But if, especially if it's insurance work, they don't necessarily trust you.
Mhm.
So you've got to develop the trust with the client, but also teach them that they're safe within the body. And if we can break it down and have them move without pain and make them feel more confident and
Mhm.
stronger, then they're more willing to open up, progress their exercises, and really see the changes within their body. So that's how it's kind of shaped my.
Yeah. No, and that is the moment when that magic, like you said, magic starts to happen when you start to uh, build you build that self-trust and you start to actually do those things what you are obviously in that moment able to do. That is basically going outside kind of from your comfort zone.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And part of it they're not aware of. Like
Mhm.
you have to kind of meet your client where they are, right? Like that is the biggest thing. If there was something I may have done in earlier in my career was like, well, you should be able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't meeting my client where they were. And so I've evolved in being like, okay, what are they capable of? What do
Mm-hmm.
they want? What are they willing to do? Assessing all these different components and then bringing it together and being like, okay, this is where they truly are at. They're
Mm-hmm.
unaware of it, but they think, let's say they think they can deadlift 10 pounds. But if you build them up correctly, and then you're like, look, you just deadlifted 50 pounds, they're like, what? Because they were so scared because their back hurt,
Mm-hmm.
bending over when they typically do stuff around the house hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And so a huge component of it is
Mm-hmm.
education
Yeah.
and explaining to a client why you're doing it, but making it relatable,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Like I do a lot of prenatal, postnatal as well,
Mm-hmm.
and also teach other kinesiologists about prenatal and postnatal and how to guide their clients through that exercise experience. And that's based on my own experience. I did a lot of research and then I kind of was like, this works, this didn't work. I've taken all these courses. And some of the hugest components is, oh, you have to pick up your child, but your back is
Mm-hmm.
hurt. Because that's relatable to
Yeah.
those women, right? Like, let me show you how to hold your child. Let me show you how to bend over and pick them
Mm-hmm.
up. Oh, now we can do this exercise if you have your kid. But we can
Uh-huh.
also do this exercise if you don't have your kid.
Uh-huh.
And then they're like motivated. They're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, right?
Yeah, that's
Especially when it
interesting.
ties into their life,
Yeah.
they're motivated to make that change.
Yeah. No, because that is it's so well said. Like you said that usually for like a normal everyday people, it's not that motivation is not to get 120 repetitions with one arm kettlebell snatch or deadlift 100 kilos or pounds or whatever the goal is. It's more like, and what I find also so much more valuable, that you are able to do in a real life things that you haven't been able to do before, and that of course that happens through strength training and training. But if you have things like what I recently talked with my clients, that they were able to put their luggage first time on in a plane to top
Right.
shelf, or you are able to climb 3 flights of stairs, or you are able to bend your or go drop on your knees, or when you go to here in Italy, when you go to church, you drop on your knees. But of course, like I had several clients that they were never able to do it, and now when you are able to do it, it's something what you were never able to do before, or open the some like a jar, some like glass what is really tight, you are not, and now you were never able to do it, and then now suddenly all of a sudden you are able to do it. And those are like, for me, like the biggest things what you can accomplish through strength training and resistance training, that you are able to do in a real life. What motivates you, if it's picking up from your child from floor or whatever it is, but it's all, they have connection with that kind of that strength training.
Yeah, and like it's funny you just say that. We recently had a client. So initially she had a bad accident rock climbing.
Mm-hmm.
The ground actually gave out from her years ago, and she was told that she couldn't squat.
Mm.
And so at first, to do my due diligence, I said, "Can you go back to the doctors and ask them why?" Because I would really love to be able to teach you to squat.
Mm.
So they kind of were like, "Oh, this was more of a beginning thing. Now, if you want to try it, you can try it." So that gave me permission to go and do the squat.
Mm.
So we've trained up her squat. She now squats a 24-kilogram kettlebell,
Wow.
and she jumped for the first time in a group class. And she literally was like, I just jumped. And
Mm-hmm.
other people in the room started crying for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how not only amazing is it to see someone recover like that, but the impact for the people around her. They
Yeah.
were so excited. And it's just so beautiful to hear and like
Oh
watch.
yeah.
And
Oh
when
yeah.
you can guide someone to that point, not to
That's
be
great.
like to have toot my horn, but it
Yeah.
definitely is like it makes me proud.
Oh yeah. And those are I'm pretty sure you have the same opinion as I have. Like those are the best kind of examples. Best like why if somebody is asking why you are coaching people, what you get, what gives you like the biggest impact or something like in return. And it's not like that. Of course, you are happy for all people if somebody is losing significant amount of weight or looking a little bit leaner or getting a little bit stronger. But for me, like the biggest thing is always that if somebody is able to do things that in a real life that they were not able to do, it
Yes.
doesn't matter if it's a climbing first time doing a bigger hike, climbing for a mountain, jumping, whatever it is, just those things, they are for me like, they are like, I'm like, that's it. That's the reason what is like giving me the biggest thing. Like if you get somebody losing fat percent, let's say you go from 15 to 12, I mean, it's a great thing. Happy for that, but it doesn't change somebody's life. It doesn't
Yes.
change anything. If somebody is losing, let's say 50 pounds, 100 pounds, even more, that is something that has huge impact on their life. Even
Yes.
and or things like you just mentioned, like somebody who have been told that is never able to squat, and then not the only able to squat, but also able to jump.
Well, and the other piece of it too, some people like they come in and weight loss is their goal,
Mhm.
but they also are experiencing chronic pain.
Yeah.
The combination of it.
Oh yeah.
When you lose weight, the pain decreases. If we can learn to control the pain and get stronger, the
Mhm.
pain helps you move more, or the decreased pain
Yeah.
helps you move more, and then the person is able to lose weight.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so there's that mental aspect of not only, again, we're coming back to educating the client
Mhm.
but building their confidence.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So you talk a lot about the nervous system and movement as a tool for nervous system regulation. What does that look like in practice?
I would say this is like a newer thing that I've started to incorporate into my practice. Partially because I'm becoming aware of it myself. I think the North American lifestyle has
Mhm.
got everyone like revved up and running at this high pace, insane,
Mhm.
overstimulated nervous system kind of
Mhm.
point. Um, when a client comes into my session and there's a vibe, like you can just feel off of them that they're anxious or that they're stressed out, really like mood kind of comes into this. I've one kind of been like, okay, I'll ask questions,
Mhm.
kind of try to dig a little deeper without trying to irritate them. Because you have to be considerate of it, right?
Mhm.
Maybe they don't want to talk about it. And then you have to think about the person in front of you. So some of my clients, they want to come in and they want to push hard.
Mhm.
Um, is it appropriate for them? And for some of them, it's like, yes, let's do it. I'm going to give you that medicine ball. Um, so and so is pissing you off. Your boss did this. Just slam that medicine
Mhm.
ball. And because when we really get our adrenaline pumping, it can help us de-stress. It's just that
Mhm.
it allows us. But then there's the opposite, where some clients they'll actually say to me, Rachel, I don't feel like strength training today. Would you do a Pilates session with me? Because they know it's a lower impact exercise. It's a little more calming, but they're still going to get a workout. And I'm totally willing to meet them again where they're at. But then I've got clients, they're unaware, like that they're just stressed out. And I might just say to them, okay, lay down on your back, close your eyes. And I actually put them through a little bit of breath work. And I've started
Mm-hmm.
to, breath has always been a part of Pilates. But I'll
Mm-hmm.
be honest, when I started, I was 21 and I was just like, I know how to breathe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now I have a real deep understanding of what breath does for the nervous system, how it calms us, it can help us regulate,
Mm-hmm.
that I do it to start my session often. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the first thing I do. I typically do a warm up and then I'll do breath with them. But when they're in high pain or high stress, I will start it with them and they'll be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I do feel better. And then they'll
Mm-hmm.
be like, oh, I can concentrate now, or I can just relax because especially if their pain is really high,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much tension. And so I
Yeah.
can get them just to kind of melt into the floor and release some of that tension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that breathing. I'm kind of same than you. Like, that was never. I never. When I was my background, I was professional ice hockey player. Nobody talked about, or there was like some breathing techniques about like how when you are lifting weights or that kind of stuff already like 20 years ago. But now it's also like when I work with my athlete clients, like we recently did like always like that kind of breathing exercises, especially like because I'm coach for Italian women's national team. We just had a World Championships, which is an event like that. You play 5 games in a 7 days, and you have it's all about how well you are able to recover, or when you are in training camp where you practice multiple times per day or every single day, and you should be able to perform at your best. And one of the most helpful advices were also that trying to include breathing exercises. Obviously, like some younger generation, they are like a little bit doubting is it really helpful or not. But then on the other hand, other like more experienced athletes, once they have tried this, that I never ask you to do it the rest of your life. Just try it. Try it how you
Mhm.
feel it. Like, and it's not that you're gonna feel right away after first time some magical difference. But if you more often you practice it, then just simply sending those signals to your body. And because it's funny. Like, tell me, like you are more expert. I'm pretty sure, but what does that breathe for work to your nervous system? Let's say after a workout or in that kind of stressful situation, what you might not be work. It could be that stressful situation. Obviously, it could be workout. It could be work related or any other related. So why does that breathing help?
Well, when we do breath work,
Mm-hmm.
we can, and I have a breath work coach so that I'm consistently implementing it. Um, when we do breath work, we can use it to stimulate us,
Mm-hmm.
or we can do it to calm us. So part of it, from my understanding, is how we breathe will impact us,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we breathe through the mouth, it will stimulate us. But if we also take it from an exercise standpoint, we naturally kick into breathing through our mouth when we're in a higher aerobic state.
Mm-hmm.
So when we're like, if I'm in kettlebell, probably minute 1 to 2, I might be able to breathe through my nose and out through my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
As the time goes on and as I start to be more under stress, I am going to breathe in through my mouth and out through my mouth. So there's that physiological
Mm-hmm.
effect. But why we do breath work, um, so if I wanted to stimulate myself, I might do it prior to competition to get myself like revved up and I can mentally visualize what I want to do.
Mhm.
So there's that aspect. And then there's the opposite where I want to calm myself down. So again, taking it back to how I said, like, I feel like people are really
Mhm.
overstimulated or they're stressed out. When we do breath work, it connects with our parasympathetic nervous system. And so it allows us to calm down. It's our rest kind of
Mhm.
state. And it allows us to not only reflect, it gives us space to reflect, but it can help us just lower our cortisol, relax our muscles, relax some of that tension. And
Mhm.
when, like you said, when you practice something, that's actually when you really get the benefits of it.
Mhm.
And you start to see it carry over in your day-to-day life. Like when I teach my clients, they'll be like, "Oh, I was in so much pain yesterday, but I just thought about how you had me do the breathing, and I
Mhm.
did that, and I was able to like just control the pain and do what I had to do."
Mhm.
Um, or like even it relates to dealing with your kids. Your kids are like driving you nuts.
Yeah.
They're just like
Yeah.
chasing around and so you take a deep breath, you can feel yourself calm down, and then you can deal with the situation.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's kind of teaching them. I always say to my clients, I'm trying to teach you tools that you can put in your toolbox and then you pull them out.
Mhm.
Right. So especially because the majority of my clients are pain clients, and then they're trying to learn how to exercise.
Mhm.
I'm teaching them breath work, journaling, meditation, so that they have tools to calm their nervous system down, but also feel safe in their body.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, but that's exactly those methods and what is the idea behind like I don't know, was I lying to my athletes when I try to, of course we are also selling people in that mind that my goal is not, of course, not like selling. My goal is to sell somebody idea to try it, to actually try it, because there are so many things what you hear you should be doing, but then in the end you will choose like, okay, this one I will try. I will give it a shot. Or this one is like, this is not like, it sounds, but it's not my thing. I'm not going to even try it. And when I try to sell to my athletes why they should do breathing work, like obviously there's like during the games, like, or I use example as in ice hockey now, but when there's a stressful situation, like in a games or something that it calms you down, like even, of course, like, I don't know, maybe ideally you would do it like, let's say, 2 to 5 minutes breathing work. But during the game, of course, you don't have 5 minutes time to just closing your eyes. But even if it's for 2, 3 breaths, just for finding a moment for yourself to take a like really deep breaths. And then the other thing is that to help in recovery. Like what I told, I don't know if I was lying for them, but I told them that basically that after hard intensity workout or game, like that, you obviously, like, your mind is going, but and your body is like, even you stop the movement, your body doesn't know if it really end here, or is it still keeps going. And it keeps, especially if it was an intense workout, it takes like that adrenaline to calm it down. And when you actually start that phase of recovery, it might take hours. But if you do that kind of breathing work right after, then it's also a sign to your body that, okay, now we are done. There is no more stress coming, and you are actually starting to recover, because that was the point behind, like, when you have like my athletes, we had a games on back-to-back days, and there might be like 16 hours you have a next game where you have to perform, and there is every single minute, every single hour is so valuable for recovery. And that was the like kind of the point how I try to sell it for my athletes to get it. Like, so correct me, was I totally wrong, or?
No, I think that's a great approach. I've never really thought of it like that, but what I was thinking as you were saying that is imagine stretching and holding your breath.
Mhm.
And then imagine stretching and breathing through it. And
Mm.
if you kind of go to yoga,
Yeah.
they always say, and breathe as you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But it's because when you take that breath and you exhale, it
Mm-hmm.
actually allows you to relax into the muscle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And again, like I was saying, the breath stimulates our parasympathetic nervous system. That's what's relaxing the muscle. So
Mm.
the fact that you're saying to your athletes, like, it's going to calm you down, that's correct. And then they could also use it to be like, um, they can release whatever didn't go their way. So they're like,
Mm.
oh, I'm frustrated. I missed that shot. Well, let that go. We've got another game coming. This is their moment to be like, okay, I recognize that I missed that shot, but I'm going to let it go because I'm going to focus on the next one. So I'm
Mm.
just going to relax, breathe it out. Like my breath coach always says, like your exhale is your release.
Yeah.
And I even do that before bed. I just like
Yeah.
I take a couple deep breaths and I say
Mm.
I release my day so that my
Mm.
mind
Yeah.
will stop running. Because I'm one of those people that I'm like, what was on my to-do list? And I'm like
Mm. Yeah.
thinking of all the things. But if I do that and I just like, okay, the day is done. I'm going to go to
Mm.
bed. I'm going to release it. It allows me to settle my brain,
Mm.
which is part of the reason I implement that breath work. And we can do it
Yeah.
after a game or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever
No, absolutely.
sport.
That's a great way. Like, and it's a very valuable tip for somebody who's if you struggle to fall asleep, because like I don't think I'm exactly the same too. That if there's too many things, what is going through either work, personal life, whatever, you have so many thoughts, and then what you should be doing, and you think already what happened before. You worry about future, and then but when you do like couple breaths, maybe even bonus point, you are journaling your to-do list, that it's you put it away from your thoughts, it's in paper, so you know exactly what you should be doing. Or if you had a bad day, just writing it down, putting it away, that you don't have to think about it, or whatever future sorrows you have, when you put it away, do a couple of breaths, that usually helps immediately to sleep better and fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like if anything, sleep is such a huge component of recovery, right? But
Mm.
we can't always sleep. So we have to
No, no,
find ways of rest, and breathing can be your moment of rest.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what I was, you also talk like about using movement a
Hmm.
lot of for punishment, and somebody is using it. Is it to regulate? So, how people can recognize when they are using movement to punish or versus to actually help them or regulate them?
Um, I have a lot of conversations with my clients. I try to really ask a lot of questions.
Mm.
Um, and I always kind of notice sometimes like I have some clients who come in, they're like, come on, Rachel, let's go, let's go.
Mhm.
And you're like, okay, what's up today?
Mhm.
I'm willing to go, but is it just that we got lots of energy and we're ready to go, or are we gonna punish ourselves?
Uh,
Um, but it's also why are they coming to me? And this is where I ask a lot of questions. Um, I think unfortunately there has been a lot of shoulding on ourselves in the sense like I should exercise,
mm.
I should eat healthy, I should be this way or that way. And I think it's changing. I
Mm.
think like for example for women a long dialogue has been about being thin. And
Mm.
so it was like doing lots of cardio, right, to get
Uh-huh.
thin. Now the dialogue is changing. And as women, we want to be strong because we
Yeah.
see the functional um, point of it. It allows us to do our job. It allows us to do stuff around our house. It allows us to take care of our children if we have children or spend time with our loved ones.
Mm.
Um, and that change of mindset. But that's also where exercise comes in and having that dialogue with the client. Why are you here?
Mm.
And not only is it why are you here? Do you want to be here? And what do you want to do? So that's kind of, I'm really lucky. I'm trained in multiple modalities. I can give them Pilates, I can give them strength training, I can run with them, I can spin with them. Rarely do I have someone who comes to me and says they want to run, but um, the point is they have to find enjoyment in it to adhere to it, which is part of the question. If you're here to punish yourself, are you going to really enjoy it? Are you really going to reap the benefits of it? Versus if you find something you enjoy, like people who come to Pilates, they enjoy it. When they stick with it, they really enjoy it. And then from strength training, I think people, when they start to see their strength improve, they really enjoy it. The other piece of it is community or connection. If they're connecting with whoever they're working with, they're going to come in and they're going to enjoy it versus like just be there to be there. And I think just we have to regularly check in with our clients, um, because if they're punishing themselves, it could have been something like, I ate the cheesecake last night, but I didn't just eat one slice, I ate the whole cake. And having that conversation with that client, like, you don't have to like push it on the bike until you puke, and you don't have to um, double your weights. We can talk about different ways to go at this. And like, this isn't happening every night. And I think it's just having that communication. And if there's anything I'm learning, the longer I'm in this, is educating them.
Yeah, and I would. Those are so well said points. What I uh, love to always say to be compassionate and being
Hmm.
kind of kinder to yourself, because we
Mm-hmm.
are most of us we are so hard on ourselves. Like you said that when that overeating happens or everything, like you said that those own expectations is that this is now that new healthy me and. It means that either you have those kind of uh, black and white, all in or nothing rules, like it's going to be no sugar, no alcohol, no carbs, or not eating after 7 p.m., whatever rules you are using. And then when that happens, that you go kind of, you go overboard, and then how you are going to respond. And this is like that, unfortunately, exercise is for many the way like that, okay, I gotta now work out. I feel guilt and shame because I did something what I shouldn't be doing. But this is like the biggest thing I think what I when I talk with the people, I think that how to see themselves, to not feel that guilt. Like obviously I'm not going to say that you're gonna feel proud of yourself the next day, but that you don't need to punish yourself. What you really need to
Yes.
do is that to what everybody I'm sure have heard of it. You have to get just back on track. Nothing else.
Yeah. And
It could be walk. It could be doing a Pilates session. You don't need to go to run for or sweat out everything or to not eat anything. And especially with eating, I feel like that like it happens when it happens to me. And I think how I respond, I have every single day my breakfast. I'm not starting to skip my meals because then I know that if I start to skip my meals, it leads that at some point this same thing will happen again. So act like nothing happened and keep following your plan.
yeah, and I think letting go of the all or nothing mindset,
Yeah.
right? Like we have a tendency like, oh, I have this program that my coach laid out. I was
Mm,
so good for 2 weeks and all of a sudden I missed a day. Okay.
mm,
So instead of starting back at the beginning, you can take that day that you missed. Maybe you needed that rest day. That's why you missed it. And just
Yeah.
start where you were. And the same with nutrition, right? Like it's this all or nothing mindset where it's like, I have to stick to this plan. And now I went over my calories. I got to start all over. And it's like, you can totally go over your calories and adjust your week as a whole and still
Yeah.
hit your targets,
Yeah.
right? But that's what coaches are for.
Yeah.
Coaches are there to support you, to communicate, and so that you don't have to do it alone, so that the modifications can be made to help you get there. That's why you
Mhm.
hire them in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious to know what other ways you help to build kind of more intuitive and the balanced relationship with either food or exercise.
What do I do?
Yeah. What are your favorite strategies?
Um, my favorites, I love my kettlebell sport training.
Mhm.
For me, Um, I like the adrenaline rush
Mhm.
that endurance gives me. So I can relate to all those endurance athletes. I like the kettlebell sport because it also makes me feel strong.
Mhm.
Pilates for me, it complements my work, but it also maintains my flexibility. But on a day to day, I really try to watch my like water intake. I really notice I'm someone who's a little prone to migraines, and so I really watch my water intake. Um, I try to create some space for myself to journal and reflect to get all like those mental thoughts out. I find that really um helps me keep a clear mind.
Mhm.
I do my breath work and I implement it throughout the day. And the more I do it, like I catch myself and I'll just be like, okay, I'm in a moment, take a deep breath, and then I
Mhm.
can kind of work through it. Um, and then I have I have some of these like little superstitions that I think developed from being a figure skater.
Mhm.
Uh, for kettlebell sport now, it's like I have lip chap that I put on right before my
Ah.
set. I actually will suck on a throat lozenger because it kind of clears my nasal passage. I have certain exercises I like to do in my warm up because they
Uh-huh.
just make me feel good.
Yeah.
Um, and competition, I typically have this little, I get on the platform and I turn my back to the judge and I
Mhm.
do a little squat and just take a like deep breath and then I kick my butt a couple times. So I like just have like little
Yeah.
um quirky little I call them superstitions. I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
right word.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's funny. Like you tell these stories, like we were actually it just came back from World Championships, and we were having exactly the same conversation. Like obviously, for us things went well, but we were all looking like that. Okay, you keep winning, you walk the same route every day, you do same kind of warm up. Players, they have their own things what they want to do, and if there is something like okay, somebody is like a little bit more into it than other ones, of course, but somebody they have like so funny things like I told that the weirdest thing what I had was one player, I don't want to tell the name, but when I was playing, he went to toilet before every single game with hockey stick. And I was like, what is he doing in the toilet with the ice hockey stick? And then somehow we found it out that he was putting that hockey stick into toilet before every single game. And I was like, oh my God, like this is, it's just weird things like that. I don't know if this is really helping, like if something is helping you, you are in doing things well, I don't mind. Do whatever works for you. If you believe that this is helping, you feel confident after you have same lipstick every single time, why not to do it? But is it really like, does it really matter?
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
That was
exactly.
just funny.
I think
funny experiences to share, like
yeah.
what all like, and I feel like that, especially like athletes or former athletes who are kind of in a high stress situation more often, then you rely on like, because everything you are prepared that everything is you do the same thing. Like I can imagine like in ice hockey can many things happen during the game, but figure skating, like you have your program, you have it's from moment one to the end, you have exactly everything what you have to have a laser focus, right?
Yes. And like one of my things when I figure skated was I could not have nail polish on my
Mm.
fingers because what if one was chipped? I always like in my head thought the judges would see that chip, so I couldn't have nail polish on my fingers.
Mm.
And like it's also having backup plans because when
Mm.
you're a figure skater, you can get disoriented and you come out of your spin and you're like, I'm facing the wrong direction. And being able to adjust because you're not actually on your route was like key. And I think if anything, there's like those moments of having a backup plan because even I went to nationals one year for kettlebells and all of a sudden I switched my lift. So I was
Mm.
snatching and I turned into one arm long cycle.
Mm.
And it was just like a moment of like, and someone yelled from the crowd, "You can't do that." And mentally, you're just like, oh. But luckily, the judge like said to me, like, yes, you're done, but we'll let you continue lifting. So I continued to snatch on my other side. It just,
Yeah.
they had to stop my set kind of thing.
Yeah, no, those are funny stories. So, this is time is almost up. We had
Yeah.
our conversation. I think I feel like that we could keep talking for another hour easily without even like I have prepared something what I wanted to talk. Couldn't go even through maybe half of it, but I hope whoever is still here listening that you enjoyed the conversation, how it went, where it went. And
Yes.
but before we close this up, I have always like some closer, like rapid, quick questions. So, just the three quick questions. So, what is one movement practice that you can't live without?
Kettlebell sport.
Okay. Uh, what is a myth about fitness or injury recovery you wish would disappear?
Oh, ooh, that's hard. A myth that I would like to disappear.
Mhm.
That we have to look or feel a certain way.
Okay. A book, quote, or tool that has changed how you approach movement or healing.
Oh, I've read so many. Um, I heard someone else say it on your podcast that they recently read Profit First. That's been really big for my business. Oh, I just read The Body Keeps Score, and that has
Mm.
helped specifically with my pain clients.
Yeah, funny that you say it. I just bought that book. I haven't been reading it yet. I have it it's waiting in my to read list. It's in my shelf, but I'm even more excited to get started reading that.
Oh,
So
good.
that's gonna be a good one. So Rachel, now how people can reach you, where people can find you. Feel free to share all your social media information. I will add them into podcast description below. So, but just share what is the best place to reach you out, how to find you.
Yeah, so I do post on Instagram, which is at return to form kinesiology. And then my website is returntoform.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is there
Thank
anything else
you.
you want me to share or you want to share?
No, no, it was lovely talking to you. It was fun to kind of share our stories back and forth, and I appreciate
Yeah.
you having me on.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so much fun and really appreciate your time when coming to my show.
Thank you.
Hold up, friend. Do you love Fit Me Turo Fitness podcast? If so, the best way to say thank you is to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review on iTunes. I know every podcaster wants you to leave a review, but it's because those reviews help the podcast to reach more people. I truly want to know what you think, and if this particular episode resonated with you, would you also please share it? Either send a link to someone who you think will find it valuable, or take a screenshot and post it into your social media and tell your friends and family why they should listen it. Make sure you tag me so I can hear your feedback and give you a little love. And if you aren't already following me on Instagram or TikTok, that's the perfect time to hit that follow button. Thank you for being here and listening to Fit Me to a Fitness podcast.